Disclaimer: the information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
The cosmic flight systems is one of the steps that will bring maturity to it. And we especially set up to do this in the past 4 or 5 weeks. And now it's been set up primarily that is ready to be adopted, to be part of the operation of what we call cosmic flights. As we have finished with your flight testing people, your mobile people are the only ones which go through this process. Those of you who signed up to become mobile, now we ask you, those of you who want to be into what we call the moon and the space development, you'll become gradually involved. We'll bring you in the way we brought, the way you came, the way we interacted with you. The mobile, what we call passengers, will be brought in, moved from one place to another, and gradually we establish a new flight system, new arrival system, because you don't fly anymore. You arrive at the destination. This is part of what we call progressive development of the knowledge for us to be. When I walked into the system this week, it was amazing what I could see. When I walked in and I felt the field forces of it, it was amazing how much, how deep I could feel to not the essence of the physicality, but to the essence of the soul. Mankind is ready to take that a step up. And as I said, the new system's getting finished, hopefully in next 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending what our people do. We'll start the mobile system transmutation. As I said, our first passenger has been chosen. We have moved certain things to position in Austria that we can deliver, we can go through the process. Then we inform you as a mobile, what we call test people, what you need to do. We ask you clearly what you need to do, where you want to go, and what you have to do before we move. You live in Los Angeles and you want to be in Tehran. You have to follow a process. And systematically, we get you deregistered in the United States with American customs, and we enter you into territory of Iran in hand of the Iranian authorities. You want to go to Japan, is the same. You want to come from Beijing to Austria, is the same. Till we establish a system that the governments feel free with a movement. The biggest enemy, the biggest block for us coming to this point will be the government trying to control, trying to keep hold, trying to confine. There is one guarantee we will give. Anyone who enters these systems and anybody comes out of these systems will be peaceful, will not be an addict, will not be an alcoholic, and will never commit a crime. This is the cornerstones of the new development of the new technologies. Step by step, we have to, in a way, gain the confidence of what we call different parts of this planet in each other, and in that process, that we don't rely on the world leaders. As I said to the American officials a few days ago, which of the world leaders you want to bring in to stop the mayhem? You don't need to take them to The Hague and go to rigorous ways of months and years of course. We want the world leaders, we move the world leaders to where, not the Americans, but where the society as a whole sees them to be fit to be there. Do we need to move the head of the states, which are what we call unjust, to a position of for them to be understanding to their soldier position and return them back to their position? No man, no depth of this planet or universe is far away from our control and movement. The reality of the knowledge and the way we will touch will be shown in the coming weeks and months. As some of you know, we have started the shipment of the Universal Enhancement Units as of this month. And this is parallel to what is being achieved and what is going to be done. 6 units are getting set up to go to Arizona. 3 units will end up in the Keshe Foundation, what we call center in Germany. And then the production, which already be paid for the materials, the assembly of will start in December and in January. And we start delivering what we call the enhancement units as we have started this. We'll see, we understand, and we process the whole technology in Mongo. I hope humanity is ready for the change to come. And I hope humanity can understand the change that we bring. And I hope sooner than later, the world governments come to agree that we need to govern as one nation to be able to be governable. Otherwise, there is no way on this planet that you can hide and duck. Development and delivery of the what we call cosmic systems, which can contain the conditions of man's life in the universe, is in the process of completion. We can change keep the dimension of the cosmos fields as it is for all the universe, and change the parameters inside to the earth level, to the level of the fields of a dog, a man, a tree. You want to feel how a tree feels? Now, with the completion of the dimension of cosmic space, in a way to hold on to get everything done, is possible. You wanted to know how it feels to be from another point and place in the universe. You change the environment inside the gravitational field string and the heartbeat and the condition of the field forces of the gravitational magnetic field of the position and time and the space. You will arrive there instantaneously. As I said, many of you came at the beginning, and I repeated that many times. When you said you went to the depth of the ocean, when the first knowledge seekers came and said they could feel the moon and they could pick up the stones, we did not laugh. We just learned from you how far our technology is correct. You can feel. Now we have to give you the physicality. Physicality could not be confirmed on the moon and Mars because we don't have the cosmic ray levels that it could support the life on the moon. Now we can. Now we have. And very soon, as I said to our colleagues in NASA, you choose. We'll take you there. And this is the understanding of the totality of knowledge of the creation. In the bandwidth of the strength of the life of the man in the dimension of the soul, we have the dimension fields of the universe and the universe. We didn't know, as we didn't know that our soul is in the center of our body. Now we can move to that position instantaneously. It's for man to understand the dimension of the field forces of his creation, and for man to understand the power that this new technology will give to man. Man will live for thousands of years, millions of years on the planetary Earth dimension and size. We'll try to explain this in more detail, that gradually in the next 4 or 5 weeks, those of you who have registered for what we call mobile system, to be prepared to move. We don't want to bring you here to Austria. After the first 2 or 3 trials, we want you to appoint a place and a time on this planet. And then we move you. Then we put you there and then. And we allow you to be in that position. And you have to be prepared that whatever you receive at point of arrival, you have to accept, because that was your wish. You live in the cold places in Canada, and you wish at that time to be in California or Florida with your son or your brother. You will end up suntanned, perfect American accent, and with the clothes to be on the beach, which your soul chooses to be to cover itself. It will be very interesting. How many of you will make an appointment with your brother or your lover in the deep oceans, in a submarine, and how many of you will go in the depths of the caves to see if I can be seen, I can be taken through the earth materials? Test us. The only thing is, you can fail. Part of your leg will be on the top of the mountain and the rest of you down in the cave. It will be fantastic to see how fast you generate the leg you missed on top of the mountain. But this is now a reality, as the Frenchman felt the push of the soul, of the physicality of the journey. I, as I always say, welcome you to the new world of science, technology, and understanding of the creation of life on this planet. And I hope we'll see the end of all the miseries and mayhems of the human race.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 468th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 19th, 2023. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation, Spaceship Institute Education Department, and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond, and I'll be a host today. And we are hosting Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation once again, who will be presenting today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to go?
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Keshe Foundation and Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back. And in so many ways, we go back to the process of knowledge seeking. In the past few weeks, we have spoken, we have talked, taught, seen some of the work of what we entered in knowledge of the cosmic ray. The rays which, the fields which, the energies which come from the cosmos to us. The cosmos being a bigger home. Up to now, we lived in the room called Earth. Now we are opening the door to go into the hallway, to go into the passages, to find other rooms, other dimensions, other atmospheres and other conditions in the house we call the universe. And then this is one house in the neighborhood of many houses we call Unicos. But what is important to us is how the structure of this cosmic rays, these fields, these energies come to us. How can we use it? How can we develop it? How can we understand it that does not stay just the word cosmic? How do we create cosmic rays? What are cosmic rays? And if the man scientists do not understand this and does not come to apply it, then what's the purpose of all this work? It's not a bread baked on the table to eat. You have to learn what kind of dough you have to make, what you need to add to the dough, and where the ingredient comes from, and which ingredient you want to use, and with what profit. In the field of science of today, we touch on the edges of the world of the cosmic radiation. We don't understand it. Most of us have no clue. We just use it. In the world of, or in the dimension of the knowledge, we are a little bit familiar with the lower range or middle range spectrum of these rays. We call it X-rays. We call it gamma rays. We call it alpha particles or alpha radiation. We call it beta or we call it the gamma. We have made an understanding and we have defined the work, defined the creation according to our own present understanding of the world of the physics. But how do we access the rest of this world of the radiation? How do we create them? Some of the explanations of the radiation has been the most ridiculous thing the world of science has ever put itself to it. But because the others don't understand, we just keep on with the same game and nobody will know. One of these, we call it beta rays. One of these we call gamma rays. But in essence, the world of the science and technology of the man has not really defined any radiation. How they're actually coming from, where they come from, how we see their creation. This is the question and other questions I put for years to my peers in Queen Mary College, you explain to me what is beta ray. Not what you're telling me. Does not work, does not make sense. When you speak about X-rays, it's something nobody ever could explain from childhood to me. I put this question to my father at the age of maybe 9 and 10. I said, you're the engineer, you tell me. He said, we have a target, we create a current, we shoot at it, and then it releases energy. We call it X-ray. I said, Papa, it doesn't work, not with me. He said, that's what it is. I said, Papa, it doesn't work. You're the engineer, you know what these machines do, but it does not make sense. He said, if it doesn't make sense, when you grow older, you try to explain it, but that's what it is. When I start asking my peers in Queen Mary College, on a table sitting with Dr. Shaw and Professor Leslie, I want to understand what is missing in my knowledge. Why we cannot, why we run out of control, why our nuclear reactors creates disasters. Because we haven't understood. We think we do, and we make such elaborate constructions. We spend $30 billion on it, but believe me, no nuclear physicist has got a clue what they're doing in these nuclear power stations. We just follow, it looks to work, so we carry on with it. This is why they run out of control. This is why we are afraid of them. This is why we have fear of nuclear bombs, why we have fear of what we call nitrogen or whatever, helium or whatever gases that they can become dangerous. We cannot control. We control their energy release. We call them neutron bombs and the rest of it, because we know how to start a fire, but we don't know how to control it. And we use that control in nuclear bombs that, okay, we start a fire, we drop it and we run. Let's see what it does. Where in reality, in the world of science, if nuclear physicists could understand, when you start a fire, you bring the water and a fire extinguisher with you first, that if it runs out of control, you're on top of it. And this is where we'll run into the same problem in our space technology. We haven't understood. We have not solved the problem of matter state X-rays and gamma rays and radiation. And now if we open the Pandora box of the universal cosmic ray energies, what the man is going to do? Another set the fire and run, because we don't know what's going to do. Send a man from Earth to Moon, hopefully it lands there. What happens if it goes in the wrong direction? How am I going to bring it back in? How am I going to land it where it's supposed to go? What about if on the way from here to the Moon interacts with the strong magnetic fields and loses some of the energy or reduces in energy, and it arrives at the point of destination with one arm missing or one leg missing? We abandoned a part of a test, and we are trying to establish it again in the next week or two, till we bring the stabilization into the system, because we could see the small noises in the background creates interference, which we have no control over. So we need to bring replacement energies, both for the matter state and both for the energy state. But our people don't understand the work of the cosmic rays. It's monkey see, monkey does. But monkey has to understand what he sees that he can do. So today's teaching is about cosmic rays. Today's teaching is about the essence of the creation of the rays in the universe. How and where do we go? Because this is the tool we need to become passengers of the universe. What does a cosmic ray mean to you? Energy for food. Conversion of energy to strengthen the soul. You need direction of the transmutation, you need cosmic ray transportation system to understand. How do I send you from here to the moon? What is the principle behind it? I just target you like a shotgun and that's it. Hopefully you land there. Or do we create a new knowledge, new understanding? It's very simple. You go to bed, you go to sleep, you dream of the mother you lost 40 years ago, or the grandfather you never met in life, but you communicate with them. The mother tells you stories about your grandfather or what you're going to do in 2 weeks' time. How and where do you find the soul of the grandma? How and where you know where the soul of the mother is? And where does the mother who died 40 years ago going to tell you what's going to happen in 2 weeks' time, or something is going to happen that in dream come to you? I saw such a thing, mom told me such a thing, and then a few weeks later when it happens, says, oh God, mom knew. That's why I had that dream. So it's important for us to understand how we maintain life without interference in space. How do we give you food on this planet without anything else? In the next few months, it's foreseeable that we will try that if there is a disaster, that we can feed masses through the technology of the cosmic rays. Now you have disasters in different parts of the world. You have refugees that are looking for food. One side, man kills in the name of the religion, building and blowing blocks and killing in tens of hundreds. On the other side, the nature of the interaction of the fields of this planet creates floods, earthquakes, and the rest, and leaves many of you without any shelter, any food, shortage of medicine, and everything else. With the present knowledge, this is where the man is struggling. With the knowledge of the cosmic ray, the guy in the deserts, the guy in the drought-stricken place will not die of hunger, would not die of thirst, would not die of shelter, if how we teach and we create facilities that we send the things you in stuff by aircrafts, drops, United Nations, UNICEF, and every other crooked base with the fields of cosmic rays. We saturate the area. You take from it what you need. But how do we create these radiations? How do we create these conditions? How do we understand one to be the banana, and one to be the aspirin, and one to be the field radiation of what can damage you, and you call it antibiotics to stop the rot of the injury, of the wound. When we did the amputation and transmutation system of growing it all, we didn't see any infection. In a very simple, we use the cosmic rays. We use understanding of the cosmic rays to give to that point, to that spot, what it needs to grow. We create an environment of the growth. The same thing happened in a very, because you couldn't understand, situation with establishment, rebuilding the brain of Naomi. The containment was made, the skull was there. We just needed to provide the brickwork that the body of the man put the bricks together and rebuild the brain, which was partially lost. Now the secret is very simple, it's open. There is no mystery in understanding the knowledge and the science of the cosmic. And today's teaching, today's sharing of the knowledge as knowledge seekers, we try to open a little gap, a little opening in the knowledge of the cosmic rays. But to understand cosmic rays, we have to understand what man has done in understanding the rays. How do our scientists define these rays? And how can we even make these rays without matter state? Rick, here in the background, and could you please go into Wikipedia and look for the explanation of the X-rays and how do we produce them? We all go to the hospitals. We take X-ray from our body, or we do a series of fast pictures. We call it CT scan. The difference between CT scan and the MRI, as all of you know, is X-ray imaging or magnetic field imaging. Even though magnetic field imaging is an X-ray itself, part of the spectrum of the same cosmic ray as is the X-ray. So we capture different parts of the same cosmic ray. We develop different technologies for it, and we call it different system. But what is X-ray? What I would like to do today, I'd like you to take the passage of the growth of the knowledge, playing with the X-ray machines as a child, and into the passage of nuclear physicists, and then through it, show you the way to production of cosmic rays. Then those of you who are knowledgeable, those of you who become knowledgeable, those of you who become experts in developing the new world of science will understand. In the next few days, Keshe Foundation will call for a collective meeting of the Universal Council, the Earth Council, and the core team to meet, to make a decision. And that decision made in that meeting will decide the future of the development of the Keshe Foundation, the space technology. I will be calling on the members of the 3 organizations of the Keshe Foundation to meet as a matter of urgency to decide, does the Keshe Foundation moves with the old system, or does the Keshe Foundation brings totally new initiative in technology and we leave where it is now with those who are involved with it, and we introduce a new technology? It's the responsibility of the Universal Council to make that final decision. But it has to consult with the Earth Council. It has to consult with the core team in how we implement what we have in the background and all will be. Let me explain to you what the difference will be for those of you who are members of Universal Council, the Earth Council, and the core team. The decision is the Keshe Foundation will stick and work and develop and invest its time and assets and knowledge in building water resources, building water bottles, building flight system, building all sorts of things for fertilizers, building systems and developing technologies for cleaning environment. Or we set out and start a process of delivering everything through the technology and abandoning the way the man has lived up to them. We cannot carry water into space. We cannot carry oxygen into space. Man, in the dimension of physicality of the body of the man, the way it is, will die in a space in milliseconds because there is no oxygen. So that puts a cap on the total understanding. What this means is that the meeting of the council has to decide, and that's why I put it on the table today, where and how we're going to establish human life human colonies in space and for the present time? Do we set up the production of the water factories to create plasmatic, and the rest of it, and sell it down the line of the shops and introducing people into? Or we create a dimension that you receive all the energies of the water as you need without actually having any water. This is what's going to happen to man in space. Are we delaying the process, or can we bring it in one go? What this will bring for us, what will this bring to the knowledge and the present structure of the man? It most probably diffuses the present economical situation in the world. Political situation will follow the same. Now you understand why a few weeks ago I released the membership of 1 year supporting or doing the annual check and the rest of it. In a way, when we establish that dimension, you are a member. You'll be enriched by the food, by everything else you need for your health through the system. You'll find you have no need for backup of the physical dimension. So you can see we have already brought the setting into it. Do we feed the nations and humanity and support the system? Now, we do not need water. We do not need fertilizers to grow vegetables or seeds, and that then we can use it to abuse each other by pricing and controlling with the hunger and policies, which is ill thoughts. It's the responsibility of the Universal Council and the Earth Council to make that decision where the knowledge and the technology of the Keshe Foundation in coming weeks and days and months will go. Do we carry on with the status quo, or do we bring and release the knowledge, a new knowledge, very much like computers? But with this knowledge, there shall be no hunger. With this knowledge, there'll be nobody will be cold in the North Pole or heat and warm and burning in Sahara, because you'll have these conditions in the space. I send you to planet so-and-so, you're on Earth, 40 degrees, 30 degrees, pleasures sitting in beaches of California, and then you land in minus 50 degrees in another point with your bikinis. Would the clothes of the man become a thing of the past? Because, as it was said, we close our eyes for our wives and women to be free. We close our eyes not to see, but only allow who we want to see. Manifestation of the physicality or manifestation dimensional energies of the universe. But we have to be able to create these dimensions. We have tentatively understood a little bit of it and we left it. And the scientists cannot think any further. We got stuck with the X-ray. And that comes from the shooting match. But is a shooting match in a matter state energy. What is cosmic ray? Cosmic rays are partially part of the shooting match too, but are plasmas and not matter state condition. And if the world of science understands this, we have broken through the world of creation. X-rays are produced by targeting energetic beams and bashing on another, and always making sure we have the right angle, the right energy level, KVs and the rest of it, and the right target area that gives the right X-ray field strength. And if we increase it, we can have it better intensity, better pictures. If it's softer tissue, we reduce it, we get different pictures. You don't use the same kV for the tissue of a heart as you use for the brain. This is the first thing an X-ray engineers will tell you. So understanding this comes to the next point, how we target nuclear materials in our fuel rods in nuclear power stations. Totally, absolutely, utterly by chance. In X-ray machines, we have more control. In nuclear reactors with the higher level energies, we have no control. We fly with the seat of our pants. And we call ourselves the brain of a nation nuclear physicist. Shame on the knowledge which pretends to know everything, and he itself flies by the seat of his pants. Goes out of control, we push in control rods, less to absorb. And when we cannot push enough, we get Fukushima. And if it goes deliberately out of control, we get Hiroshima. What do we do? How do we extend these things? How do we understand these things? What our future scientists need to do? This is the decision of the Universal Council in the time to come. Integration of the new technology with the present life of the man. Rick, read us how man creates X-rays, and then we learn something to start our work with. This is what is the knowledge of the man and his book of knowledge, what we call Wikipedia. Go ahead.
Okay. This is on the specific part called X-ray in Wikipedia. I'll just read the first paragraph here. Perhaps they'll give us some background. An X-ray, or much less commonly X-radiation, is a penetrating form of high-energy electromagnetic radiation. Most X-rays have a wavelength ranging from 10 picometers to 10 nanometers, corresponding to frequencies in the range of 30 pentahertz to 30 exahertz, which is 3 times 10 to the 19th hertz, and energies in the range of 145 electron volts to 124,000 electron volts. X-ray wavelengths are shorter than those of UV rays and typically longer than those of gamma rays. In many languages, X-radiation is referred to as Röntgen radiation, after the German scientist who discovered it in 1895. He named it X-radiation to signify an unknown type of radiation. The most familiar use of X-rays is checking for fractures, but X-rays are used in other ways. For example, chest X-rays can spot pneumonia, and mammograms use X-rays to look for breast cancer. It goes on here, some of the history. You want to know how to produce
How do we produce it? Yeah.
Well, the first X-rays were a type of unidentified radiation emanating from experimental discharge tubes, which are gas-filled tubes with electrodes inside, similar to fluorescent light bulbs. They were noticed by scientists investigating cathode rays produced by such tubes, which are energetic electron beams that were first observed in 1869. And many of the early Crookes tubes, they're called, which are early experimental electrical discharge tube with a partial vacuum. And William Crookes and others around 1869 to 1875 were experimenting with these. And they noticed effects which are attributed to these tubes. They created ionization of the air in the tube by the high DC voltage, and that was enough to create the X-rays when they struck the anode or the glass wall of the tube. So they were dealing with a few of 1,000 volts and up to 100,000 volts. And those voltages are enough to create the X-ray effect. So the earliest experimenter thought to have unknowingly produced X-rays was William Morgan in 1785, when he was describing the effects of passing electrical currents through a partially evacuated glass tube, producing a glow created by X-rays. Let me see here, let's go on a little bit. There's Philip Leonard in 1888 conducted experiments whether cathode rays could pass out of the Crookes tube and into the air. He found that something came through that would expose photographic plates and cause fluorescence. He measured the penetrating power of these rays through various materials. So it's been suggested that at least some of these Leonard rays were actually X-rays. And there's a Ukrainian-born Ivan Poluj, who 1877 was constructing different kinds of gas-filled tubes and exposed them to photographic plates, which became dark when exposed to the emanation from the tubes. And it's interesting, in 1894, Nikola Tesla noticed damaged film in his lab that seemed to be associated with Crookes tube experiments. And he began investigating this invisible radiant energy. After Rontgen identified the X-ray, Tesla began making X-ray images of his own using high voltages and tubes of his own design, as well as Crookes tubes. And it's interesting, I think they note here that there was hazards discovered. And for example, even, I can't find it here exactly, but even Nikola Tesla noticed that his assistant's hand was getting burned by these X-rays. And so he sent a notice out to others to be careful with the experimentation because of this effect. And others also started to discover more about that as it went on.
In a way, what the X-ray machine is targeting higher speed current flow into a static position. And then what is radiated, you target it into a space where in that space you can move anything, be it body of a man, be it an object, and you capture how much energy was absorbed by that system in the, what you call it, on what you put up as what we call aluminum foils or different kind of foils in the background, and we confirm the existence of the energy passing through the body. But let's look at this in a different way. Can I take over for a second, please?
Sure.
Let's look at this in a different way. In the X-ray system, we create a high energy. We put an angle of target. This high energy releases the radiation, which by putting an object in front of it, we create how much that object has absorbed energy. And we see it as bones in the tissue of the man, and we see the extremities of the tissue of the man because he absorbs different radiation. What does this system tell us? What does this teach us? Keep this side apart. We look at this side of it as a principle, as a knowledge. Then we still have this blue part, still as a body of the man, let's say. But we don't want to take an image. We see how much of the fields we put through it will be absorbed and how much we will be left over on this side. Or what would it exchange that it might even release higher energy than what it absorbed from before. This part of the understanding, because you understand it, is very simple to develop. So you have identified a specific material, you have identified specific energy to give you a specific radiation. Call it X-ray. Now, if the man goes one step further, with the knowledge we have today, we create two plasmas and we decide them to interact maybe in different angles. Maybe the same, but different strength position of the plasma. Where this one is the energy field of this position, the same as this one, which gives us a radiation field in the strength of banana. I turn the plasma slightly to a higher strength. I go for a deeper position in the strength, which now is this. This gives us, in interaction with this, a new field, a new dimension. This could be the strength of the field of red meat. But this time in the X-ray is singularity of the fields. Here you have plasma of the field. It's dynamic. They rotate together and the interaction, they create a plasma. Not as a ray, but as a field, but as a condition that it has intelligence. It has a soul. When it interacts with the body of the man, it says, my darling, what do you need? I'm going through, take what you don't need, I'm taking somewhere else. What you don't need, you can add to me. I'll take it away from you. Here, with the X-rays, we leave no choice. We hit, we go. With the understanding of the plasma targeting, This is what we call cosmic plasma rays, cosmic plasma fields. Fields with emotion, if you want to call it, fields with justice. This is what in the world of radiation we say some of the lights are photon and some are particles. In the plasma, condition of interaction of matter state is different than what we call condition of the plasma interaction. You can create conditions that you create only rays to. Then, if man understands this technology, then man decides on the strength of this field, the strength of field of emotion of love, the strength and field of emotion of pain, other fields and other dimensions. And when you bring this as a cosmic ray, cosmetic field energy, when you travel a man and you can sustain it, man will arrive with all senses of the emotion available to it at the time of arrival. The same thing happens when you give this to somebody who suffers depression. You release plasma of gases and not field. We see in the cheaters nowadays, they call it quantum. Anywhere you see quantum in the world of wellness, right underneath of it, crooks. Because there is no quantum in the dimension of the creation. Even the smallest, which is the smallest man, is still large to another dimension field of creation. That's what quantum physics is, taking the smallest specimen, but still in that smallest one is another dimension of the universe. And if you understand this, you stay with the world of plasma, understanding the creation of the plasma, and you can play creation in the way you like. When it comes for me to what we call the world of creation, I can target plasmas. I can target different position and strength of the plasma onto the same ray or onto the same plasma. And at the same time, create fields of different strength that in their interaction, they allow transformation, transmutation, and transportation at the same time with the totality of the emotion when you arrive at the point of destination. I'm here as a soul of the man who left the earth, but I'm on the moon. How do my soul interacts with the soul of the environment, with the inertia of the environment, that my physicality can be guaranteed. There is no oxygen here, but I can use other dimension fields and energies to survive, to live, to maintain and sustain life. If our scientists in our labs understand this, and some of them have already understood, and the systems which are getting developed are in position without them understanding the totality, then man is ready for that point of transmutation. Then we don't come up with 2 protons and 2 neutrons, and we call it alpha radiation. Hello. Since when? What we call plasma entity in the matter state has become a radiation. Because we never understood when you put 2 protons and 2 neutrons, which are very much the same, with a small difference, you get fields which is amalgamation of interaction of the 4 plasmas. Now, the world of creation needs to redefine, the world of science needs to redefine what is alpha radiation. Alpha radiation is an interaction of the 4 different plasmas, radiation fields, in trying to keep balance. Now, whatever in the interaction of these come together is always a certain given energy. What happened if now our scientists interact always 4, now 6 fields together? Let's say, why do we call it 6 protons and what we call it 3 protons and 3 neutrons? Because one is a slightly higher energy than the other. So in trying to give its energy to the others, and the same with the others, they always release a balanced new field, which now we have to find a new name for this cosmic energy. What happened in the next cycle of 4 of these? A new field, a new radiation. Now the man has the knowledge of ganses, plasmas in dimension. In a way, as knowledge seekers, you understood this without understanding it. You mix the CO2 plus Zn, O plus whatever, and then you say, this is good for COVID energy to overcome. My dearest friends, your ZNOs and your CO2s, you already worked with the cosmic rays without even understanding it. When we built the first space nuclear-based reactor in Tehran, Iranian scientists never understood what was on the table. Why those of you who worked with me in the Sensano and then in Trani and Bari, you saw me bringing in, those of you who were in the Sensano, you saw the cylinder gases outside the lab connected with the pipes to the reactors. What for? For creation of this. It's very hard to go back and create that high voltage, blah, blah, to get an X-ray. Dealing with the matter state target. Here, I deal with a GANS dynamic target. There you create matter rays. Here, I create cosmic rays. But cosmic rays with dimension of emotion, with dimension of the gravitational magnetic field strength, always as a, what we call it, a field, So the scientists in the coming time, in the coming months, knowledge seekers, now you understand how the next step in technology will come. When you stand in the fields of a desert with thousands of people short of water, thousands of people short of what they need to recover from energy of a damaged, broken leg, infection. Thousands of people hunger. If you can create the dimension of the fields of whatever you thought, and you beam it, you download it, whatever you want terminology to use, you give them the water, you give them the medicine, you give them the food. But now, would this bring a new dimension for the world leaders to claim power? Or can we deliver a technology that those who want to get to that state will become in this condition that they have no power? They become needy in the strength of the fields, and then no man will ever claim power to be a leader. But we all lead each other to success. We all lead each other to new life. Do we use satellite to do the high-level bombing, as we are used to by the Americans? Or do we use the satellite to do high-level feeding through plasma technology? Would or should be any man with a cancer with this knowledge, which is created through the emotion? Would, with this knowledge, be any man thirsty or hungry on this planet or in space? Now you understand why there is a need for Universal Council to make the decision, and why it's important for the Earth Council to bring implementation with the governments of delivering, governing through science and technology. Then it comes to one big question. Do we need all these units, or can we create one and only one central system that can feed the whole lot? The man in the desert and the one who lives in the luxuries of the apartments of New York, London, or Beijing, all become equal. Then it comes that, do we become part of one world nation? This is not any way or shape or form as a source of creation. It's as a source of support to support what is created. Here you deal with a man, and because of the droughts, the animals in the Sahara are suffering, and because of the drought, the trees are in the same dilemma. Then when you do this, the fields from the same source feeds everything on its path, irrespective of color, race, religion, creed, in a dimension of life, vertical, horizontal, intelligent or no intelligence. Then, in this time, with the lion or the tiger or another vultures would eat the man who was dying of hunger. As the man is fed, and so is the animal. This is the evolution of this technology. And then in the future to come, the source is what you call the dimension of the creation, will feed in any dimension, any man, any created things in the universe and the cosmos. You are from Earth and you end up on planet Zeus. You're on Earth, you end up on the Mars. You're from Earth, you end up on the moon, or you go to another universe. As the source is connected to you through its dimension of the fields, there'll always be the supplier of the source. You can carry food down this line as you can do information, knowledge, energy. But you have to develop a condition, a process that it can feed both the dimension of physicality and the energy as a soul. That at the point of manifestation, at the point of delivery of in any shape or form, all stays an integrated system, function with all emotions and all facilities to exist in any dimension. Yesterday in our lab, our people noticed this, or the day before, they noticed this. We have no speakers, we have no noise detectors, but in our system, we have emotion detectors. Our generator and our field system on our oscilloscopes are moving erratically. What's going on? They go for the lunch and it's quiet and it becomes peaceful. They're still in the same building. They're still making the same noise. The minute they come back in, because the emotion of the time has changed, there's a responsibility of the emotion, thinking about the girlfriend, the cooking tonight, going to cinema, disturbs the field. The noise hasn't changed. This is what happened in the 16th test. There are a lot of people coughing and buffing and making noise, but the minute we saw and we showed it, we say we go to the soul of creator, we saw peace. Unison. But still there was a noise of coughing and everything. The souls and the high energy don't care about what noise the man makes and what goes on in the universe. Because they are with the totality of the soul. In the tomorrow's session, I'll take you to a dimension you've never been, but it'll become part of the path of life in coming time. Those of you who participate in the 20th December meeting the soul of the creator, you shall meet your own soul. How can you try to give to perfect another soul when your own soul is in dilemma and not in order to be able to give? Tomorrow's session of the flight will bring a new dimension. And this time we have more people than last time. And in that process, you will meet. A lot of you came in the first meeting, I have a cancer, I have a problem. You all came to take. Come this time to give. Come this time to be balanced and see what you bring to those who are unbalanced. You cannot eat when your stomach is full of rubbish. What does Mother say? Don't eat sweets. Don't eat this. Don't drink that. You can't have your dinner because your stomach will be full. You all came to the meeting of the 16th with the stomach full of rubbish, and you're hoping to have a dinner that you feel good. But you all, more or less, left empty-handed because you did not wait till the rubbish cleaned out. You got to realize the process, what it is, how the cosmic rays will come to be, to replace, to be part. The systems tomorrow are different than the systems we had last time. There are additions. There are systems that for the first time we use no-man communication between the creator, the generator, and the system which dispatches. Before, in the 16th, we had telephone lines, the same as rest of you. This time, there's a major step, which what we call introduction of the cosmic rays. How would you feel this time? There is no satellite mobile phone connections between the two posts of the Keshe Foundation. This time, you cannot come cheating, eating the biscuits and the fruits and having the drinks before you're coming on the table, say, I'm hungry. The president of Romania, past few months, has said to his nation, people can live with €2.50 per day in his country. Yes, on water and bread. The price of the tomato in Romania is the same as supermarkets in the rest of Europe. In Europe, you get 4 or 5 times more wages than the pensions you get meager life today. With a new knowledge, every man in Romania, in Bulgaria, in London, in New York, in Beijing, can live on exactly the same pleasures of life, not even with a financial return, but understanding where they receive it from and what they have to contribute to the next cycle of life. Then we give the €2.50 back to the president. Let him live in a dimension of physicality and safely possible, where with understanding the field of the strength of the universe and developing the new technologies, I cannot return you from the moon. Sorry, your subscription has finished. You had $10, you used 9.9. This is where monetarism will change. This is where the new technology brings a lot of changes. Sustaining life across the universe becomes the obligation of every man on this planet. As your life, sustaining life, is being maintained and you live a life that it suits the emotion to carry. In a way, if you understand it, you have 8 billion human beings and so many trillions other animals with emotion and soul. That's putting the plants on top. Everyone creates and releases a field which are surplus they don't need, and in collectiveness of interaction with the central understanding of the emotion of the fields of the planet is available to every traveler of the universe. It's very much, I have a beautiful dress in the closet. I used to be size 10, I'm size 14. I don't keep it there that one day I might become 10. Somebody who's 10 can enjoy it as I had my pleasure with it. It's the same with the energies of the creation. It's the same with what is to come. And then we see the next dilemma. Then we see, we understand the next position. Then we understand by creation, understanding of the process of production of the cosmic rays, by interaction of the plasmatic magnetic fields that man now recently has got access to it through what we call the GANS technology, is the key to life in a balance, is the key to the world peace, is the key for man to be able to live in a dimension of the universe, anywhere it could be. How would I send you from Earth to Moon? You remember in the olden days, they used to put you in a cannonball and shoot you, and you sometimes landed on the net, and sometimes, sorry, unlucky, you landed on the ground. Even when you landed on the net, it wasn't a guarantee that you'll survive it. Broken neck, broken arms, and the rest of it. We don't have the option of the cannoning. We don't need the safety net. Man has to develop a technology which lands man on the moon on the exact position where the man wants to be. Few seconds. How do you do this? What is the secret in the dimensional transmutation? How did you find the soul of your grandma? Or your mother died 40 years ago? Did you arrive at the scene with your mother with your legs and arm missing? Grandma said, or the mother said, where is your arm? Did you lose it on the way from your body to here? What happened to your eyes? Have you ever seen yourself in a dream with your glasses trying to find out where the mother is, where the grandmother is? Or you see through the soul of the energy and you still see grandma wearing glasses, as you do. Because that's the impression you had in your soul of the grandma. Did you use a cannonball from your soul to the soul of the mother? Or did your physicality through the link of the soul of the cosmos knew where the mother is? And you landed in perfection. The job of the new space technology is this. I have to land you safe on the moon every time and bring you back every time. I abandoned the trial this week because there's too much noise in the background. I might lose an arm and a leg on transmutation. They don't like it, but sorry, I have to be 100% correct before I can move you. And the beauty of it is, I do not need to be in the position to do it. I can be in New York and arrange your transmutation in Linz. I can be in Saudi Arabia and organize your transmutation in Accra. But I cannot have interference, losing or adding through the emotion of the others, I need to create a filtering system that always have a given bandwidth of the energy in the cosmic ray that I can feed the soul and the transportation. Any losses, any accident, any interaction with another plasma on the way, then you land there. But how do I get you to the moon? What's the secret? How can I transmute you across this span, little span of our solar system? Forget about the galaxies and the universes. Go back to the principle of the teaching. We always said in the world of the plasma technology, the strongest, the one which has more, gives to the little one, that in the interaction of the two, they two become imbalanced. But this time, this interaction, this body of the man has an emotion, and the emotion changes. You're anxious to go to New York from London. What's going to happen? Whatever, whatever. And then you arrive in New York, you arrive, the anxiety, the anxious, whatever, would it be on time? Would the son will be there to pick me up? All gone. The son is in the airport, he picks you up, you go home. What happened? The plane is late. So your emotion goes with you. In the world of the plasma technology, we have to support that emotion without anxiety, with certainty that I land where I'm going. Understanding the principle. I don't end up on Mars. And I don't end up in another galaxy. I end up on the moon because my son is picking me up. I'm meeting with the soul of my son. Then physicality, we both look like a monkey. We go for a walk. But we know it's us, it's father and son, but looking monkey this time, because the monkey here doesn't need oxygen, doesn't need clothing, and we survive enjoying each other's presence in dimension of physicality also. So how do you transport? In the process of the transmutation, you go back to what I just taught. Creating gravitational magnetic fields, which is the field strength, and the field strength of the emotion and physicality of you. Then we know you want to go to the moon. We know how we have a copy of you. We need to create within our system a miniature version of a smaller of you to be on this point, where by interaction of the fields, in giving to, you move across to, but with the emotion of arrival at the same time. You are your own cannon, and you are your own target. So understanding of the plasma technology in a cosmic ray is the key to man's travel in the span of the universe at zero time. But the man scientists have to understand this principle. Man scientists have to be able to support these fields that in interaction with something else, you don't arrive here with one leg missing. Because the compensated fields for the energy of the leg is already compensated for what's gone. Don't forget, when we built the brain of Naomi, we didn't get a lump on top of the head. We built in the area which was missing. So the fields are already living, knowing what to be created. Go one step further and understand the teaching of last week and the week before. And go back to the 16th. We took you to see the soul, to become part of the soul of the Creator. This was an easiest job to do for me because, hello, I made man in the image of myself. I have little of me inside you. And so when I need you to elevate, I just need to connect a little of me. It wasn't a big job, was it? Now you understand the technology, the knowledge of creation. I don't care what color you look and where you live in the universe, that little of me, which is the image of my soul, my field strength in you, has connected me to you. And that's why it's so easy when we showed you the graph, we tell you this is the time when a man made this creator. Because now it's balance. And we took your agents with you, which brought you to him in the name of Muhammad, Christ, and the rest of the battlefield. Now you understand the technology behind plasma, behind gas technology, behind the world of creation. I wonder how many of you will come out of the tomorrow session as people you were before you went in. Being in the dimension of emotion, being on the dimension of devotion, being on the dimension of totality to understand the creation. And the minute you claim, I understood it all, you have actually moved further to the point of creation because you understood none of it. The humbler you become, the closer you become to the ground. The more you gather the knowledge of creation, the closer you come to understand nothing about the world of creation as much as is within the Creator. This is part of the process of the teaching, understanding the work of the race, understanding the interaction of the race. I brought this to you in a very simple way in the original work of the Keshe Foundation when you start making the coils, but you all went for the energy. We told you, I grappled with you, I doubted everything I knew. Okay, you're for that. Gas coated with CO2, gas coated with zinc, blah, blah. What for? The metal was that beam of the electrical field, and the gases were the target. You never understood. You cannot comprehend because the monkey is a monkey. It does not matter what frock you put on it. The rock of king does not make a monkey a king. Because there is no intelligence in understanding what the job of a king is. I have taught in every way and possibilities how to make cosmic rays from day one. Rick just read to us that they found a tube like a fluorescent tube and the gases could radiate fields. Hello. Now you understand. Man has to go back, knowledge seekers have to go back to the first teachings and now understand the knowledge in the matter of plasma as a gas, interaction of the gas, and not two fields which has to be seen in one of the interrows, they come together and make a plasma. These themselves are fields, not rays. They have a soul. They have to have understanding of the totality that mankind in the coming time can move to the next step. And this is what our scientists are building. And this is what our scientists are busy with at this moment. But let's say 50% of the time, they don't even know what they are doing because it's there till they see something and say, oh, but what's the knowledge behind it? What did I miss? I was discussing with the knowledge seekers in the discussion in the past 24 hours, 48 hours, that one system from lens is enough to feed the whole of the humanity. Why do we need to make service centers? Our own scientists in our research centers have not understood this yet, have not looked beyond the fence. Then, if you understand that one system in lens can feed you, can elevate your soul, can bring you energy to be warm, can create you communication, transportation, and everything else you need, then you understand that would this now become the next creator? Would we call this the house of God, which God to us is the one who creates everything? Or do we say for the first time that we have understood the process of creation? How long will it take for mankind to go through this process is a man's humbleness in gaining knowledge, not in his arrogance that I have the knowledge. In the calling upon the Universal Council and the Earth Council, and the members of the core team in the coming days, mankind has to make a decision that how the scientists of the Keshe Foundation will deliver the technology to humanity without ever anyone knowing. Life has to become on this planet like the beautiful game. We are all on it. We all kick the ball. We enjoy to see if we can score a goal. But when the game finished, we all celebrated. We enjoyed each other's presence on the field. And that ball was our connection. That ball for man has to be the knowledge. And humanity and the rest of created things, the players on the football pitch. No tackles, no pushing. We all play to enjoy the game of life. Now you understand. Now, hopefully, some of you come to understand the position of the man, the position of the technology and what I'm teaching and what has been the purpose of the teaching. We have come to that position that humanity, through the soul of its representative, has to decide the future of humanity. That all are equal, that all have to enjoy, and at the same time, a transition time that the totality can be introduced, that the man goes through this process. Then the next step will come once we've done that, the interaction of the soul of the man with the soul of the universal community, maybe in the dimension of physicality. But the process has to stop. And as a teacher, I guide, I ask, I request the student of man in the form of Universal Council and the Earth Council to meet and draw up the plan what would be the future of mankind. And the knowledge seekers and the Keshe Foundation laboratories will deliver the wishes of the Universal Council. Then you understand where we are. We are not selling you a dream. We are not creating another prophet. We are not creating another religion. We're creating a system that humanity will live through the process of the creation and not through the process of the man, physical dimension, greed and everything and the pain and the rest. But our scientists should understand, and the humanity as a whole and the rest of the creation on this planet has to go through a transition, or is the decision of Universal Council to be in one move. There'll be a lot of problems in one move. Massive problems, but still can be overcome. You cannot join the meeting of tomorrow to elevate the soul of your prophets from the spirit level, as the souls are all equal, when you carry a damaged bird in the shape of the form of the spirit of the man. Our first job is to repair the man, in a way to elevate, in a way to mend, in a way to give to it that finds a point of satisfaction. That after that point, he has enough to give to his own messengers to repair theirs. Now you understand why we set the system up for tomorrow. Now you understand the process which will be carrying you tomorrow. A lot of people tell us and have been asking, what's going to happen tomorrow? Come and see. And see if you have gained the strength in the knowledge of the creation, that you can elevate the spirit of yourself. That with that surplus that you elevated, can give and repair the spirit of the others. And that's in that point you can elevate the spirit of the messengers. That in that point, through them, then they become the central to elevate the rest. And then we'll see the end of all the conflicts and a peace in the dimension of the soul and soul of physicality of the man, which brings the true peace. So, I wish you, and I hope you understood the teaching of today. And if you did, I hope you find the point of elevation. And as the religious people say, salvation for the whole of the structure of the soul of physicality of man, that with it, you can find peace in other dimensions. My wish, my desire, my hope as a teacher is that the students understand and are ready to enjoy the fruit of the knowledge. As the universal game starts, as the cosmic rays and understanding the creation of the cosmic rays becomes the key for the man, when to be a field, when to be a matter, when to be a ray. And what you need to give, to keep, to maintain each state according to the wish and the love of the owner, and not your own greed, stupidity, and what I call ignorance. I hope I brought you to a point, and I hope from today we understand what the next step, as we done step by step in past few weeks and months, will be for us. And I wish one of the most sincere things for our team in our labs, that they elevate to the next point. Thank you very much, Rick. We go to a physical human break and then we come back and we'll finish by about 11:30 or so today. We are travelers last 2 weeks trying to sort out the Keshe Foundation problems which we created, and we hopefully be back in this for tomorrow to be able to bring that change. Thank you very much, Rick, and take us through a break when we come back.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, let me find my screen here.
You got to share the screen.
Yeah, I'm just getting there. Okay, I thank you, everyone. We'll take a short break here in the 468th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 19th, 2023. Okay, we'll have a look at the Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit and some other things as well for our break here, and be back in a few minutes.
The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Embedding the essence of the new GANS plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural, balanced, energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural, original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists, and healthcare centers. The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the future you have been waiting for, is here.
The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a space technology that allows you to work with the fields of the universe. Creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions, it allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the man can follow to find their balance, elevating the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. Technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge.
Okay, we're back again at the 468th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And Mr. Keshe, would you like to continue with questions, or do you have some more teaching you'd like to give first?
Let's teaching never finishes, sharing knowledge never finishes. Let's see if there are any questions, because we don't have much time today.
Okay, let's jump in with Jalal here and start with that. Go ahead, Jalal.
Yes, thank you, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Good day.
Good day, Jalal. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Mr. Keshe, my only question is there any way for the knowledge seekers to help or support the foundation in overcome this problems?
Which problems?
That what you said just now, that the foundation is coming through.
Well, our position is financial, and it's created by a knowledge seeker who pretended to be a knowledge seeker, a big fraud. The case now is out of our hand. And how long we will take us to go through it to civilize, we do not know. The financial condition is we brought it to stability in past 2 months since we realized we've been defrauded by knowledge seekers. And a number of knowledge seekers who helped us, they run into problem because of our problem, or what we try to bring the expansion into the foundation work. We need a substantial financial support immediately to bring a stability. We are doing most of it ourselves. And once that comes out, even as guarantees that we reimburse back in the future, once it's done, we can go ahead. We don't stop. We haven't stopped even with this. You got to realize we were set up to be defrauded. Set up by somebody who claimed to be a knowledge seeker. The same pattern as before. We trusted and turned up to be one of the biggest fraud organizations in the world. There are 7 countries, 10 international banks involved in this, and the matter is out of the hand of the Keshe Foundation. It's not something we did, something small. This was something to bring the change, and the matter now is out of the hand of the Keshe Foundation. But the team of the Keshe Foundation in background has supported as much as it could. A couple of knowledge seekers have run into serious problem financially because of it. We're trying to find a way, a source to sort it out for them. But even those who run into problem, they created a problem for the family. In a way, I was thinking about this morning, the whole thing brought their books to be balanced. But we are not going bankrupt, but we are in desperate need of finances, even short-term, long-term. So the knowledge seekers have helped us in the background to sustain and to keep. And we are doing a lot of it ourselves to maintain that. But we've been very open because the investment which we put out was for all of you, wasn't for me or whatever, is done in the name of the foundation. It's not done in the personal name or anything else. I received a death threat by one of the knowledge seekers. They're going to open the book, they're going to destroy. Nothing can be destroyed. One of the people you love so much has done so much threat to us because he thinks he was set up, but we were set up by somebody who came close to knowledge seekers, and he pretended to be everything, but he was working with one of the biggest scam companies in the world. And yes, we need a desperate financial support in any shape or form to get through this, but foundation is resilient. We'll come out of it. Even in past week, 10 days, even today, we are not home. We are far from home, trying to gain some sort of stability, bring stability till we can sort this thing out. It's not the loss with a few thousand, it's millions has been lost and set up. And then in that process, we found out the knowledge seekers were actually defrauded the Keshe Foundation, and you love them so much by lies and cheats. In a way, you open up the things we didn't see. And if it comes short to the push, as we say in English, I'll open the box. We need help. Foundation needs help. And today's teaching is not coming from Austria. I'm far away from. Hopefully, I'll be back on time for tomorrow. And we need help. And that's why we came to you as a loan, as whatever. Yes, we do. We can create a lot of gold through our system and support, but that will not help. We become another views of what we're trying to, what we call it, abolish, to bring, to do, to push, to become. And yes, there's a huge loss. And about 6-7 knowledge seekers have got caught in it with us. And we're trying to sort them out. But we have brought the stability to extent to the Keshe Foundation. But it needs more than that. We need a few 100,000 just to support us to go to an interim till we come back on the stability. We've lost a lot of money in Ghana, in Italy, and in other places, but we always supported, we always stood up. But this was systematically set up, drained the foundation in a very systematic way. We're one of the biggest fraud companies in the world. Now we're talking to people who we talk to, even they are baffled how this operation is run. Sooner or later it'll come into the news. It's not something that's just we're telling you. It's so huge that will come into the to international news, because it has to, because there are many, many people, plus Keshe Foundation has been touched by this people. And we're staying out of it in public, but you will see it very, very soon. Yes, we need help, even today. There are a lot of bills to be paid. We're covering as much as we can. There's a lot of support needed. We are covering as much as we can. And there are 5 or 6 people who sincerely helped us. And for what we had, they will be returned. But we got stuck with it. And they got stuck with it. And we'll try to sort the position out. But it's not that easy. And we started back as very much minus. We try just to bring balance that the establishment can run as it is. As I said, we played a very open card, but we received the life threat from one of the knowledge seekers, and this matter will not be, taken lightly by the governments and the officials. Any other question?
Okay, we can go to our Q&A here. From Joel, who says, hello, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for this teaching, which makes the connection with the books you have written. One can thus assimilate each cosmic ray to a PM tick, and as far as I am concerned, everything becomes clearer thanks to you. So Joel's made a connection there.
I think if you go back and read the books again from the beginning with the knowledge of what we teach and what we thought in cosmic rays and understanding of past few weeks, you will see a new knowledge in the book, because now it's the same story, but it has a different meaning. In a way, I read this book at the time, and I read it, I wasn't in love. I didn't even mean what it was talking about, love. But now I'm in love. Now I understand what it means, the story in the book. I feel it because now I have a connection to it. I felt it. It's that kind of way. As I said, these books are written, and you take from it according to your understanding, according to your, what I call clarity of soul than more than mental consciousness. And in a few months' time, when we go to the next level of the teaching, which is beyond cosmic rays, then when you read the book again, you see a new dimension. And the beauty of this, once you learn, it stays with your soul and becomes a knowledge for you in your travels across the universe. And it will be very interesting. Read the first, we read the book 1, read the book 2, and read the book 3, and then you will understand how far further you come. It's, as I said to long time ago to Dirk Loressens, bless his soul. I said these are like the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Future Testament. Depends in which part of the history of time you lock yourself as a Jewish, Christian, Muslim, or whatever who might come in the future. And it's understanding the knowledge in a new way. The word cannot change. As you saw this morning, I showed you how we make X-ray. And in the same understanding, if you understand in the work of plasma, how you make cosmic rays. And then you understand even how technology is embedded in a lot of knowledge is for you to decipher. And when you decipher it, don't become arrogant that you know it all. Become humble that you had the pleasure, the gift to understand it. Any other question?
Okay, a question from Alfred in the Q&A. Dear Mr. Keshe, thank you for another insightful and elevating workshop. Regarding tomorrow, Friday, the 20th of January, we are asked for elevation of the prophets of the past. There are also those who think they are prophets of the present. At this moment, a bunch of them meet in the Economic Forum in Davos in Switzerland. Should we connect with them and elevate their souls and in their souls of physicality so that they no longer can cause mayhem on this planet?
You see, you want to fight the soldiers on the ground one by one, or you negotiate with the generals that the soldiers follow the instruction. The people in Davos are just a bunch of soldiers, the same as the others. You got to sort out those who believe. None of the ones you see in the Davos or any other forum like this is without religion, without a way to believe in the Creator. Buddhist in the form of most probably Chinese, Christians in the name of the Bill Gates and the others, and the Jews and the other names, and the Muslims in the form of the Saudis. They're all in there, but they're nothing because they all follow the book or the mentality or the emotion they created in their soul of physicality in the name of religion. So do you want to go and negotiate one by one with the rebels, or do you want to sit down on the table with the chiefs and tell them to bring the rebels on the order? I prefer the second one. You deal with a handful. You don't need to deal with hundreds and then thousands and millions. The interesting part is many of these people you follow who come to Davos every year and they come for past years, many of them have become disgraced around the world in different shape or form. Davos is a window for abuse, planning of the abuse, and how successful all the abuse has been. We saw the guy who was a computer man, now he's become to vaccine, and now he demands the animals to be vaccinated. And then we know the vaccines he was pushing 2 years ago is the cause of the higher death rate. I call him the angel of death. Doesn't matter how he presents himself in those. And I was with some officials past 48 hours or so, and I explained to them sitting in different hotels, which he and his team chose in Holland in early 2000 to take over the Keshe Foundation. Because then they would have had, you would have had no knowledge of the present knowledge unless the way they could use it or abuse it. These are foot soldiers. Deal with the generals, they'll sort out their foot soldiers. Forget about that. It's something, as I call it, a place for the abusers to show how much they can abuse. We saw yesterday in one of the side talks or main talks that one of the biggest things will if it happens, if you understand the implications of it, the Saudis will deal with all currencies not backed by American dollar anymore. It sounds nothing but international will bring chaos, which means Saudis have joined BRIC as another coin, because now they don't need to hide behind dollars valuation, they stand on their own valuation. That's why Saudi moved that way. Sooner or later we hear another new members to the BRICS will be Saudis. But why do they do this? What's the implication of it? What is the application of it? In a way, if it goes the way it goes and we get more influential governments joining directly or indirectly part of BRICS, the whole system become back literally to the barter system of the past. I barter with Americans for 2 glasses for 1 bottle. I deal with Africans for 4 glasses for 1 bottle, because Africans don't have to give it, but the Americans can. And this is what the change is. Don't pray for, you can elevate, you cannot elevate the soul, because you got to understand, as I said before, the physical war is over. Now it's a world of religion, and we have to go to the bosses, not the governments. You changed the people in your work. Putting Ukraine aside, we don't see wars as such anywhere around. We achieved the physical peace. Now we have to achieve the what we call dimensional abuse of the soul, which is the religions, and you find peace everywhere. So tomorrow is not that you going to, and you will be there to meet, to elevate, to give for them to be elevated. There's more into it. And if any of you reach that point, consider yourself as humble enough that you could bring that contribution to elevate. Don't become arrogant with it, and then you will understand it. Any other question?
Okay, question in the Q&A from through Cristiano from Josafa. A question, Mr. Keshe. In some class, I remember that you said that in the work of scientists, there is part of their soul. In your book, there is the emotion of your soul. And when we read it, we have the understanding that this emotion, or each fragment of it, are like those lines of field flows that brings us your presence, or in another way, take us to the you. I don't know. In a way, it's as if each line of that emotion was a key to a door to the universe of knowledge. My question is, how do you add that emotion with that force into what you do in the material state? Hope you understand my question.
It's very easy, just try to live it. Try to understand and make it part of life. Very simple. The whole process is, now you understand, when we start teaching about the soul, especially like in Brazil, how many people went upside down when we released the first peace treaty that you signed with. I signed it in my physicality and my soul. How many Brazilians wrote back to the foundation, I have committed my soul to Christ, but I can give you my physicality. And I laughed every time I read this, coming from the Catholic, strong Catholic background countries. And now you gave your soul to Christ as Brazilians, as different belief of 72 ships of Christ in different names. And now you find out that it's you who has to give for him to be elevated, that it brings peace back to your physical life. How do you think? What you always thought, you asked Christ, help me, now is there for you to help out, to bring back, for them to understand the level that you understood about the peace and dimension of the spirit of the man. Then you understand. You can use the knowledge to create a lot of beautiful conditions. And I wonder how many of you Brazilians tomorrow, I think it's about 20, 30 of you in total, will come to be with the strong belief you have, to understand, have I become, have I had the gift, have I been honored to be humble enough to give to one who always gave to me for what he is short of? And in a way, I explained this to a knowledge seeker very recently, is you go to a king and he has everything. You sit next to him, he suffers from the lack of love, because nobody shows him true love except they call him a king because they have to, and they bend to him. There's an old Persian proverb we say, come and stay with me one night, then you understand my true feelings. You will stay with the kings and find out one night what they're short. If it doesn't matter if it's a crown of gold or the thorn. What you thought is perfection needs a little bit more to become perfected. And through it, when it's perfect, the rest will be. And I wonder how many of you strong belief in whatever path come to understand that part of your soul, doesn't matter how little, has become part of the soul of what you believed in the man's belief path of knowledge. And then you call it whatever religion you like, and then we find peace, all of us together in one level or another. Knowledge is a knowledge when it's an instrument to be shared and to bring more knowledge and peace to the others. Otherwise, it's not a knowledge. And this is what we kept all the time in all the teachings. And we always say knowledge, because we seek the knowledge of creation and not the arrogance of having it. Any other question?
Okay, a question from Alexandra from Brazil. When the physical body reaches its point of death, and if the soul of the physicality has not yet reached its elevation to merge with the soul of the man, what happens to the soul of the physicality at this point? Does it encapsulate the soul of man and start playing the role of the physicality of the soul of the man on that other journey?
It never reaches. It's an impossibility. It finds a path to give, to share. We've seen it with the knowledge seekers who went through the flight system. That when the soul of the man, the energy fields of the inner part of the man, we call the soul of the man, passes them. When we talk to some of them, they say, we hear you, but everything is blurred. We don't see. It's like we are behind a curtain. Because it's that dynamic field of the soul. So when the soul of the man passed the soul of the physicality, which became beyond that, you see that curtain, did it interact with all of it? Or it was so that it just passed it for it so being weak that it did not even feel it? And the biggest question will be, if we manage with a man-made system to create this condition, how would you as humans can do the same? One of the reasons we chose a pair, a couple, to go to the moon or go to space is this: that the love of the partner expands the soul of the man. That expansion passes the physicality that allows the man to take the next excursion. In a way, when you are with your partner on the moon, he or she becomes the system in lens, if you think of it that way, to allow your soul to expand, for soul of physicality to be encapsulated by the soul. That in a way you become the enhancement unit for your partner as much as your partner comes for you, which is the love. This is why I chose deliberately the first two passengers as the two lovers who, you should see them, they are so devoted. When one speaks, it's like the other one is speaking. That in being in such a balanced soul level, one becomes the system of the other for the love, for the soul to expand. The whole purpose of the creation was the love of the God, which is what is, we call, is the one of the pleasures of being a human, to love. And when you love, you give everything. You expand beyond to give. And in that position, when your soul expands, your physicality, the soul of the God, becomes encapsulated in it. And then you've done the same with your lover, that it becomes the source. We both want to go back to Earth. We both want to live in this place. We both want to go to Mars. We leave the condition of the position to the other, for them to decide, not for us. The first two travels of the Keshe Foundation are the true lovers with each other. And we haven't chosen randomly, because that will bring that love to be shared with the rest of humanity, to feel it, to be the point of elevation. So your soul of physicality, if you understood, if we can teach, if we can develop technologies to allow that for you to feel it, then you go to the next step. Oh, do you need a physical dimension to live? It's like people who came to us and I kept them in the machine 2, 3 times, 10 times and said, I can't feel it. I cannot, there's nothing happening. Because you have no one to give the love to that can confirm the love you are giving, that allows the soul to expand. How do you want to go beyond it, where my system cannot betray you, can only satisfy what you really are, what you want to do? You have a lot of knowledge seekers who came to LINS, never understood it. And step by step, I open up the doors. How come when we had 2 lovers, 2 girls, they came, one of them is so much in, they're so much in love with each other, these 2 women, and so giving, loving each other and their family, that does not matter where I put them, I can pick them up. They say they don't want to go to the moon, I can send them to the moon. They don't need even to be near me. But because the source of giving, that envelope of the expansion of the soul, is part of their life. So do we need the physical elevation, or do we need the extension or death for the soul of physicality to pass this energy or part of it for the soul to go. It's like literally when you come to the point of death, it's like a mother and a child hanging on a cliff, and the mother has a pack of food with her, and she gives the food to the child who's on the top. He says, you take and go, it doesn't matter about me. I fall down the cliff. I live my life. There's no difference. That what is surplus that allows the soul is given to the child at the point of death, which is the soul of the man. You take what you need. I've done everything for you to be created, to be nourished, to survive on your own in the world. That's all it is. We just put different names to it. The mother and child, when the mother sees the survival of the child more important than her, that mother is the soul of physicality. And the child is the soul of the man, which gets the freedom by taking whatever mother has to, even she sacrifices her own physical dimension. Nothing more. Just choice of words and names. When you don't see any more further that you can contribute for your child to be, you send her to boarding school, you send her to another country to be educated more, to become part of a bigger structure, to be successful. This is what our soul of physicality does with our soul. Let it go. Then it becomes another child in the dimension of creation, new life. We never understood. Now we understand. We are responsible for it as always. Any other question?
Okay, you've answered all of our chat questions. We have Andreas with a hand up here. Go ahead, Andreas.
Hello to everyone. Good day, Mr. Keshe. I'm Andreas from Austria. We put our intention in the last 2 months very much to the commandments. And tomorrow we have to elevate us as well the prophets. And yeah, we went through the 204th Knowledge Seeker workshop, and every time the same questions come up. And of course, we understand today more about it with the new understanding, what we have learned. But still there are a lot of questions, but one question is the structure behind the commandments. And I don't know if for me, I would like to know more about it, and maybe you can say something to that.
The structure behind all the commandments is the unity or understanding between the soul of physicality and the soul of the man. Thou shalt not steal. The soul of physicality cannot steal from the soul of the man, that he stops his elevation. Thou shalt not lie, because you can't lie to the soul. It's not for human life, which we have interpreted it. It's the relationship between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man. And man uses the emotion to create that mayhem, stealing, and the rest of it. If you truly understand all of the commandments, it's a relationship between the spirit and the soul of the man and nothing else. We never understood it. Now we understand it. We see what it means, what it truly means. It's not about thou shalt not kill. Thou cannot kill his soul, cannot steal from it to deprive it from his elevation that it causes it to not reach maturity to become part of the soul of the creator in an entity. But in essence, as a fields and rays, this is part of the soul anyway. When you kill a man, there's still a body, the head, the arm, the leg. So the commandments in truth is written about the relationship between the spirit and the soul of the man, and nothing else. But as man is physical, always translates it to his own dimension.
And the key then to bring the soul of physicality and the soul in one line is that the emotions are all in balance, are love, that there is no blockage because you don't behave correct.
Anyway, if you want to translate that way, but if you reach balance between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality, you'll find eternal life in a true essence of, not in just the dimension of I live longer. Because the two always give and take from each other and from the environment to guarantee the life and existence of the other.
Thank you.
Eternal life is not for a physical life. Eternal life is for being able to maintain the interaction, life, between the spirit and the soul of the man. And that's why one can, when the other one is weaker, superpass to accommodate the other one, which is in a need. One become weaker, one becomes stronger. In a way, when your soul superpasses the spirit is much stronger because it's inside. Has received, is protected. Any other questions?
Did you mention you had to go around this time?
I'll
is
finish
that right?
with one or two more questions, yes, then we can call.
Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to find a question here.
I would have one more, please.
Yes, please.
How important is, because there are 10 commandments which had been released and 14 which haven't been released. Is that the correct order, or do the 14 mix with the 10?
It's all part of the same. It's all part of the same. It's one package. Now you decide which of 24 you want to deny, and you make a new understanding with 14 commandments or 20 commandments, because the other 4 doesn't suit you because of how you want to live. Now is your freedom to make your own, what I call, path.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have we finished, Rick?
Well, we finished with the questions in the chat and in the Q&A and in the live stream and in the YouTube.
That's good news. Thank you very much for today. And we meet those of you who decided to join us tomorrow at 12 o'clock Central European Time. And we'll come in with a new technology which has been linked up and set up by our people in the UNO Center and Laboratory, and we'll see how successful this next step in the knowledge gain will be. Thank you very much for today. Thank you very much, Rick. And see you, those of you who will be there tomorrow at 12 Central European time. I was told that booking will close in the next 2 or 3 hours because we had a surge of other people joining in past 24 hours. If you want to join, just register. They'll leave it open for a few more hours, and then we close it. There is a session for February, which again called the meeting with the soul of the creator, number 2. And that will be another trip for the soul of the man. And then that will be partially dependent on the outcome of the meeting of the Universal Council and the decision and the Earth Council in how the next step will be. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow, or see you next week.
We have one question, Mr. Keshe, from Zena in the Q&A. Tomorrow, can we elevate the soul of other prophets we like?
Any prophet, if they need elevation, they'll receive it. We received a message from Dr. Barapur that some of the Iranian team or people who wanted to join tomorrow will not be able or may not be able because of the what they call national examination for university entrance, as the government found that some people are cheating with their watches or whatever they carry with them. They're closing all the internet for the duration of the examination. So, Dr. Barpo and the Iranians who might be in the area of the examination might not be able to join us, or partially, or the minute the network opened up, join us. We'll see where we can go. Yeah, it's not a joke.
It's a funny way to do it, but it's common sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, because you got to remember, one of the reasons you see so many Iranians out of Iran or before revolution was that we had a system still operating. It's called the concours, which we had that time 40,000-50,000 places for universities, and we had 400,000 or 500,000 candidates. And people had to sit for this internal examination that they can pass a certain mark, and then if they can choose what subject they study. And this now has become a thing of the past. Now the Iran, there's 4 million candidates and 6 million places in universities. This examinations is to decide which university or whatever you're going to do and to be there. So it has taken different shape, but still people want to be doctors, but they know nothing about biology, as I call it. So they stop them cheating in a way. So this is a new technology, new developments, and new approach by different governments. Thank you very much for today, and we'll see you hopefully shortly. Thank you, Rick.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Okay, this has been the 468th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 19th, 2023. We know about tomorrow's program with the Flight Enhancement Unit program, but also our next public teaching workshop will be on, let me see the date here. It'll be the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace coming up on Tuesday, January 24th. That starts at 4 p.m. Central European Time. Okay, thanks everyone for being here today. And we'll see you in the next public teaching.